All right, Lauren, you should be able to take it away.
Hey.
Howdy, folks.
Hey, Bruce.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Chris?
Yes, you're good to go.
Oh, sorry. Don't have my headphones.
Oh, hang on a sec. I'm logged in as Joe.
Hey, Joe. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
we good to go, Chris?
Yes, you are good to go.
Okay, so this is WIKISPEED High Five Stand-Up, the 14th of September 2017. So who would like to go first on the stand-up section?
I guess I can go ahead and kick us off. I don't have anything written down here. First, this is Chris Wallace. I'm the product owner of the WIKISPEED Burleson, Texas, USA Micro Factory. And I usually start us off with a quick reading from the Agile Manifesto. So this week, I've chosen our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. And we usually, of course, just replace the word software with customer visible value. So last week, I set up a Facebook event for the WIKISPEED Expo 2017 Global Gathering that links back to the event on wikispeed.org. And I also set up a LinkedIn post that links back to that same event. I worked on putting together an article or a blog that we can post on wikispeed.org and then link to that from LinkedIn and then possibly Facebook as well. It's something I pulled from a previous web page that we had, and we just kind of worked on the title a little bit. We had some team discussion on some edits we want to make, and then I'm waiting to hear back from the team if I can go ahead and post our rough draft and then next week iterate through that to make the proposed changes before we share that to LinkedIn. So for next week, that's probably pretty much what I'm going to be working on. I also need to add dates for WIKISPEED Consulting for November. And what else? And I need to up my access to Dropbox, which we actually, there was a block on that, and Joe helped remove that block yesterday, getting us the login information so that we have control over changing different users' access. And that's all I really have in mind so far. We do our sprint planning for the core WIKISPEED consulting team on Friday. So we usually hash out what next week's actually going to look at like then. As far as blocks, I do not think I have any, so that wraps up my stand-up portion. Thank you.
Okay, well, who wants to go next? I can if nobody else does.
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Last week I added some info to that LinkedIn story, some information about posting events and other venues that we might use. Did some collaboration and wrote a reply to John Ark, who had sent us an email. And I think next week, if we hear back from him, that's part of what I'll be doing is following up on that. Might as well keep some continuity on that. I'm glad you guys liked that. I wasn't sure if it was quite what we needed. I realize in retrospect that we might have mentioned also that power plants could include electric, but that was something we could talk to him about if he actually wants to talk to us now. Other than that, I didn't do a whole lot. I've been playing around with my new 3D printer, and I think there are some applications here. I'm going to be printing out some small WIKISPEED frame models to try doing some body design work with, and so I can do it in clay, and that might be interesting. So yeah, kind of cool stuff. I've been having fun with that. Got a nice, inexpensive one. But no blocks, and yeah, that's it.
Wow. Double wow. Okay, who wants to go next? Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'll go next. This is Lawrence Salter, Gabriel Island, British Columbia. And this past week, I did a bit of, I got into Taiga and Trello on my new Android 6 tablet. And so far, so good. Android 6, I don't know if it's Android 6 or this no-name tablet that I've got, but a lot of apps are funky, and so far, so good. I've been checking in on Slack a bit. Okay, and that's pretty much it for this week. For me, coming week, I am actually starting to, so I'm hoping to either on my own server, set up my own server, and maybe do something on the GoDaddy with Chris on the accounting software packages. I just changed the name of the card to say Front Accounting Plus or Front Accounting, etc. So that's what I'm hoping to do in the coming week. The blocks are a fair amount of work helping out with family, and I'm running pretty intensely. Got a bunch of stuff going on with the house, and actually somewhat relevant. Bruce asked for kind of update on this. We're kind of moving ahead with our local community. At least we had our biggest Linux meeting ever on the island last night, and this incredible radio astronomer engineer was there, and so it basically sounds like if we organize, he can do all the technical stuff to create a cellular and internet network of some kind, independent sort of, not totally, but anyway, something like that. And so I'm going to keep you all posted on that. One more thing I want to do is I've got a lot of information. I've been using the cheap GoPro cameras, and I'm writing a summary of those and maybe posting some videos. So if people, I think it is a really good idea to use them to capture dead ends as well as successes in the workshops. So anyway, that's it for me. So who's next?
Lauren, there's no one else on the call. That other icon is actually the computer that's doing the recording.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to a retrospective, wherein we talk about how happy we are with the project, how happy we think the team is, or they rate the team, and process improvement. So I think follow the same order, and we'll just go. So Chris?
Okay, I'm going to go with an 8 for me this week. I didn't actually mention this under blocks. I think I wrote it down, but I had a limited amount of time to deal with WikiSpeed projects this week. So it kind of, even though I think we pretty much knocked out our backlog, I'd hope to actually be able to pull some stuff in. And a 9 for the team. Everything's going super awesome. Still a little room for improvement and the ability to speed up a little bit. My process improvement, would be that to implement something like a daily stand-up. Now, being a set of volunteers, I don't know that we all have time to jump on a hangout every day. But maybe on days that you actually complete something, if we just write it down and put it in Slack. So for the core WIKISPEED consulting team, if we can keep each other kind of abreast of the updates. I know that we're doing a good job of that on our Trello board, but for some reason, sometimes on the actual website board, I don't get updates of that, so I only see them when I go in to start doing stuff. I don't know what's going on with that. There may be some ways to fix that. We can tie it into Slack like we've done some of the other boards so that we do get immediate updates. But as of right now, I'll say something along the lines of a daily stand-up, even if it's just through Slack or email. And that wraps it up for me.
Okay, Bruce?
Yeah. I'm also going to give myself an 8 for this sprint. I was out for a couple of days doing the Agile Leadership class with Michael Sahota. That was, oh my goodness, yeah. If you ever get a chance to do that class with him, it's really, it addresses a lot of it's primarily on the cultural side of things and how you actually start to talk to people about that. And I think as hardware consultants, we're going to have an awful lot of that, possibly even more so than with software. So good stuff. I'm super, super glad I went. And why did I put my screen down here? I look like I'm looking down at my shoes like a geek. Let's see. For the team, I would actually like to start a quote and see if anybody can finish it. Teams that finish early, ... Anybody know that one from Sutherland?
I absolutely should. It's not.
They accelerate faster.
Yeah, I was going to say speed up, but yeah I was going to paraphrase it.
Faster. I'm giving the team an 8 this week. Did okay, but I feel like we sort of cliff dived a little bit. It was definitely, it had that feel to it that we sort of waited to the last minute and then all jumped in and, got it done, but it wasn't that nice, even flow. Did we actually finish the one on the photographs? It looked like it was marked and verified, but I didn't see anything as a demo, so I don't know.
The verify column currently is called blocked/verify, and I think it was actually on the block side. In fact, that may be a nice process improvement that we create 2 columns for that, because it's a little confusing.
All right. I don't have a particular process improvement other than, more early finishing, which a daily stand-up or its equivalent of feedback might help.
Okay, so I'm going to give myself a 4, and the team, I normally give a 10. I'm going to give it a 9 because there's not that big a turnout, and I was hoping in September with everybody back that there would be. And like I said, our Linux group had probably 25% more attendance. Almost everyone who's ever been there was there yesterday. And it's paralleling because this team has been going so strong and attracting so many people that anyway, something in the air. As process improvement, I really like Chris's. It's actually easier for me. I go running between 10 and 12 and do errands Pacific time. So that's I said I would kind of change up the time, but that may not be too easy for me. I have somebody coming in and I'd have to change that around. So an early 15 minutes, 15-minute stand up I would like that. I think that would actually be easier for me and keep things going. Not necessarily replacing the other thing, but maybe the other thing. Then, if we were doing that, we could kind of do start to plan sprints with the daily, it would start to fit more into a scrum model. So enough said. That's my my vote is for that. But it looks like we have two things that are kind of related. But let's do the vote on number one is the daily stand-up, and this is 6 days a week because of our earlier plan to take a day off. So it's 6 days a week or 5 days a week, that to be determined. And the second one is finish early. Yeah, so one is the daily and two is the finish early, and they could be related. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. It looks like it's the daily stand-up. So I think in crosstalk, maybe we can talk about the logistics of that. And I think that's it. In 20 minutes, we're done with the business of this multinational open source project. So I'm going to turn it over to crosstalk.
For crosstalk, I just wanted to mention, I don't want to replace the sprint planning meeting because we really build pretty good sprints there. And I agree with Bruce completely on this week in particular. This last sprint, it seemed like we got stuff done the first day and the last day, and then one day in the middle we got a little bit done. That was my cadence as well, right? I had some other stuff come up that didn't really allow me to focus on WIKISPEED, which I also don't like personally, having to rush before this call to feel like we're trying to get everything done, because then we lose quality. Yep. I would much prefer to take the couple hours today I spent and spread that out over the week even, if that had been possible. So again, my idea, it's tough on a team like this to schedule a daily stand-up because we're in different time zones, we have different schedules. So again, I think maybe just on Slack, even if it's just in Slack, even if we just make sure in Slack we shoot a link to the card we just worked on when we're done, and then what we maybe plan on working on, even if it's not tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow I'm going to be, at the lake, but on Wednesday I'm going to plan on doing this for 30 minutes, and I think that'll kind of help the rest of the team know when they might need to help support. And also, when we're not pairing, even though we're all working together as a team on the same thing, it feels like you're alone in the endeavor, right? Where it's just, I'm working on this right now, and then I don't know what else is going on, but I need to get my part done. And that's definitely not an agile philosophy at all. So that was my thinking on it anyway. Feel free to discuss or disagree, agree, expand.
If you can figure out a way of coupling up Slack with the Trello notifications, I think that might help a lot. Then we can just be a little more prolific in our note-taking inside the stories, because I try and document whenever I've touched one. So, maybe something like that would feed that. We can see whether that is sufficient or whether we need to, add to that.
I would say I already figured it out, except it's been so long, it'll be a refiguring it out. So what I will do instead, I know it's possible, and there's actually a couple ways to go about it, depending on if you're looking at the Trello side or the Slack side, and they've actually created more options since I've done this before. But what I will do right now is create a Trello card for us to throw into the sprint for next week, way up at the top, okay, to get that done.
Do we know when we're meeting tomorrow?
I'm assuming, unless there's any blocks on the team that cannot make that time, that it'll be the normal time, because it's actually a standing meeting.
Yeah, is that 1 o'clock Eastern?
I believe so. Yeah, it's
okay.
Noon for me, so it's 1 o'clock Eastern, okay. or like I say, what is that, 10 o'clock Lulu, as I refer to it.
Yeah.
WIKISPEED time on the Pacific.
Yeah. Okay. my wife is home tomorrow, so I was going to go out for a while, but I think I'll be back by then. Just wanted to double check.
Again, if you know that you can't make it, just before the meeting, just let us know, and I'm sure we can be flexible with it. So.
Yeah.
I've got a request because I slipped up. Can you repeat your retro scoring? Because I'm supposed to do the averages, and I missed writing those down. So
yes, an 8 for me and a 9 for the team.
Okay.
8 and 8.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll calculate the average. I don't have a spreadsheet in front of me like William does. Nor can I do it right this late in the day in my head. So. Oh, okay. So I have something I want to bring up. I haven't quite given up on coming to the expo, but it's tricky for me. And also the consulting, I feel kind of out of the loop on that, and maybe I could use some advice on how to get involved in that. I've been reading my course notes on Scrum, and I probably want to get online and get up to date on some of the Scrum stuff. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of two things that I've got in mind. With one goal being to get certified. I've got probably at least a few things I want to get certified on. I'm really bad about, I hate tests, so but I thought it's a good time to get some recent certifications on my resume. So.
Well, if you want to pair up on the studies, we're here. So
okay.
Make use of it.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. I've especially recently, I'm constantly trying to expand my knowledge on Scrum and several industry standard tools that can be used in Scrum. So if you have any questions or anything, some of those, if I don't know the answer, I'll be curious about that and want to figure it out. So definitely pairing on that would be awesome.
Yeah, for me, it's like that Git. I want to get up to speed, and actually, so I logged in. Oh yeah, that's something else I forgot. I used my Git account. I haven't set up a project yet in GitHub, but I think I will. I just want to make sure it'll be public, so it'll be WIKISPEED GitHub. Is there any reason I shouldn't go ahead with that? Anybody think?
I don't see why not. I do have a question. Just something I ran across. Does it cost? Is there any cost associated with having a GitHub account?
The model with Tiger is based on the model with GitHub. So if it's public, it's free. If you want it private, it costs like $5 or $10 a month for both.
Okay.
And GitHub.
So I would say as long as what we're keeping on the GitHub account has already been declared open source, like obviously you don't want to put our accounting information there, right? But if it's open source already or Creative Commons, I don't see any reason we shouldn't.
So right now, our Trello stuff is private, and are we paying? I'm interested. Yes, Trello and Slack. Do we pay something for it?
No, we do not. And actually, our Slack is private because that's just the way it works.
Trello was public.
Our Trello is publicly viewable, but in order to edit, you have to have an approved account.
I think that's what the GitHub is. I'll double check. So, like for example, that's why I left the EIN off the application for the charitable status, because I assumed an EIN is a little bit like, I don't know, if I was a fraudster, I would try and use an EIN to take out a credit card, because do you always have to have a personal person, like the treasurer or something? They're putting their own personal social security number on an account a credit card account, or does a company number work like an EIN? That's kind of a open question I've got. So anyway, I thought EINs should be kept private.
I would agree. I don't know if you've ever read The Art of Deception by Kevin Mitnick, but he's very much a social engineer, right? And he says that that's one of the things that makes it so easy to social engineer is getting information that people don't really think of as proprietary or the need to be private. And so you can call and ask, hey, I need help with this thing. I'm from this other department, and I don't know what's going on. I'm new here. And they give up a piece of information that he can then use in the next phone call to get a little more information. And basically in 3 phone calls, he can get all the information that he wants. So.
I work in government and corporations, and once someone thinks you're an insider, they'll give you anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Act like you know what you're doing and nobody really questions you.
Yep. Always carry a manila envelope.
So that reminded me of another block, which is I have about 100 pages of things I have from listservs and other sources on the Equifax breach, and then I need to go and check my own status on the Equifax breach. Except half the sources say that you get, depending on how you go and look at it, you get opposite answers. If you go through one way to look at it, you get one answer, you're safe, and another one you're at risk.
Well, yeah, if you can get details on which one's safe, I'd really like to know, because I want to check. I looked at it the first day and I'm like,
Unfortunately, you can't change your social security number like you can change a password, right?
Yeah.
Equifax, like in the 70s, there was a big story in where I lived in Ontario, because they were calling the employees of Equifax were calling and pretending to be doctors and asking for medical information on people so potential employers could vet them based on their medical histories. So they were called out and fined for that.
That's pretty bad. Well, on a cheerier note, I do have to show it. I do have to demo my 3D printer. This is This is a 3D printed electric ukulele.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
I am thrilled with it. It plays moderately well. I don't like the electric part of it, but other than that, it handles nicely. It's a headless design, which I like, and it was printed in 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces plus the pegs, and it actually works. I mean, it's the strings are still stretching out, so it doesn't keep its tune quite as well, but I'm really amazed with it. And,
this is a non-technical question, but am I correct in my assumption that the string, if you're holding it like you would a ukulele, the string closest to you is the high string, so you can play it clawhammer style? Is that correct? Yes. So you can play. Yes, absolutely. So you can play that clawhammer style. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yep. Re-entrant.
Awesome. I think I could probably figure that out pretty quick then. That's neat.
Okay. Are you considering a modification of adding some kind of a acoustic echo box?
I'm actually more thinking of adding something at the tailstock here to rest my forearm on, because it rests pretty much on the bridge and it damps the strings. That's the one design feature I don't like that much. But I can print up something and glue it on there. Yeah. That's the model that I built. I actually bought some plans because it was such a cool design. I could pay this guy $5 for having designed it and try it out.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. It was a nice test for the printer too.
Exactly. It seems like something after I get my 3D printer back, once it's built, that I may want to print up. I was going to ask Bruce, this isn't for next week or anything, but if at some point you have time with that 3D printer, if you would enjoy maybe printing out one of those CubeSat models that we had discussed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be think that would be pretty cool. I think there's a limited number of boards that they have for it so far, but I think that would be something neat to play around with, and maybe a little more robust than the paper models that we're looking at. So
yeah, is that on Thingiverse or any place like that?
I believe it's on Thingiverse, and
Okay.
I'll make a note here. I looked it up. I think I googled 3D CubeSat model, and then looked at the images, and when I saw what it looked neat, it linked back to where I was going. But I'll look it up. It's in my search history, so I can find it, and I'll shoot that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I might be able to print several of them up and bring them to the WIKISPEED Expo, something like that.
That would be awesome. Which also leads into a great segue to Lauren. I don't think that I'm going to be able to make the WIKISPEED Expo either because of the prior commitment for that day. I mentioned this in a previous call that for about the last 8 months, planned to take my daughter to a concert on that day. So there's no way I could get back in time to take her. Again, to be determined. It really depends on if we book those 2 days before as an actual class for people or not, because those 2 days before the WIKISPEED Expo or individuals can book. I believe the price is like $200 to come actually work on iterating the cars. But, and this is the reason I'm mentioning it, Lauren, the other option, and what I will likely do, is go to the Burleson Micro Factory and hook up via Google Hangouts to at least demo my car. So if I can't be there in person, I will at least attempt to be there virtually. So I mean,
put you up on a big screen or something.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for anybody that has to view that, but but yeah, I mean, hopefully that'll be the next best thing to being co-located that day. And again, to be determined. My wish and hope is that I can actually be there. The two criteria is that I find a proxy me to take my daughter to the concert, and also that we have some sort of a funding reason for me to actually be there.
No, that's a shame. I was hoping you'd be there.
Oh, me too.
You know,
Trust me. Like I said, I mean, if we can get, and maybe that's something that we discuss soon, is trying to get there's like I said, the 2 days before are basically a Scrum and hardware class that people can come take and actually get hands on the cars, work on iterating them, getting them ready for the dirt track. And I believe right now there's 3 cars in the shop that could be worked on. So it should be something exciting for people to do. It's $200, I believe, right now for an individual ticket. So like I said, if that becomes something that we can actually get some traction on, that would give me more reason to be there. And,
I thought this was only the day before. So I might flight out for Friday.
Yeah, I believe it's. Let me look right now, actually. But I think I made it a 2-day event. It is a 2-day event. If again, it all depends on whether it makes or not. Right? Right now it shows there's 25 slots. Again, sort of as a come and go as you please. I probably wouldn't be able to make it there much before Friday either. I know there's other people available in the shop too. So that's again to be determined, and we'll see. But as of right now, if everything stays the same, I likely will only be available via Hangouts.
Well, we're used to looking at your head on the screen, so.
And just the head that gets darker, right?
Yes, I'm having doubts as to whether you actually have a body, but that's.
Right. I won't disagree with that. Do I have anything else? Oh, I did have a question for you, Bruce. I didn't type this fast enough. Your Agile Leadership class was taught by whom?
Michael Sahota.
Sahota. I had it close. I typed Sahota for some reason. Oh, Sahota. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Thank you. Save that for future reference.
Yep.
And let's see.
What's the topic of the Sahoda's talk? Something agile?
Yeah, it was less about the implementation parts of Agile than about getting leadership on board and actually making the cultural changes so you get the big increases in productivity.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because he says
and how do you
we have
spell
to
it?
approach it much differently, and we actually, kind of step on ourselves and make the resistance worse by a lot of the things that we do as coaches. So I was very interested to hear that he actually had a system that he says works pretty well, and it dovetailed pretty well with the things that I'd been kind of discovering piecemeal over the years and had been trying to kind of gel, and it was nice to see that somebody else was thinking along the same lines and had actually, put it into a nice system that you could look at and go, oh yeah, I see what to do next, because it gives you a playbook that you can, really actually fall back on. And it's highly psychological in its nature.
There is that challenge, right? When you already have the buy-in and you know that it works, and then you're talking to a room full of people that do not have the buy-in yet, to know where that gap lies and how to bridge that gap. So that's cool. Does he talk about executive buy-in at all?
Actually, he says that is the key thing, is that leadership has to go first. That's what leading is all about. But getting them to do that is a multi-step process that you have various yes-no kind of logic that has to happen. And that if you hit a no, you have to retrench and be patient and, go back and apply some things to get them to commit to that. Because really, he said the thing that a lot of us say, which is, Agile is just the tool. You're not, your goal is not to be Agile. It's to get the results that Agile gets you. And a lot of people kind of fixate on the Agile part, and you have to sort of say, well, why Agile? To get them thinking about what is it I'm really trying to solve here, rather than I want an Agile installation that will solve all my problems if I plug this thing into my organization. And I think that's a real strong thing to go in with, is knowing to not go, well, I'm here to get you Agile. Well, I'm not getting you anything. You're going to have to pull the brain power up yourself and have the commitment and be able to understand why it is you want what you want, so that you'll get there. And then you realize that Agile is the tool that will do that for you, so the resistance isn't there anymore, because you're actually saying, oh, I see what Agile does now and why it would work for me. Let's bring that in, instead of saying Agile is this thing, let's paste it on and see if it works.
How do you spell Sahoda?
Sahota. Let me see if I can find you a link here.
That's very, very insightful, Bruce. Because exactly. I see this a lot in job postings where it's like Agile or Scrum is the goal, and it's like, no, that is not the goal. That is the path to your goal, right? And it's where the issue comes with a Scrum Master / project manager that's basically expected to do waterfall and name it Scrum things, right? So that's really good.
Yeah, he had some very good stuff. I'll send out some links. I'll dig them up. He has a little talk that he gives, and where he sort of does an intro for the class, and it's very, very informative. He's got a new version of his book coming out, which we didn't get. I guess it's still being printed, so hopefully that'll show up. I'm really interested to see some of the details. And this was the number one level class that he does. He does a 3-day class that covers more detail about what happens at each one of those stages when you're talking to people, and how to handle various situations and how to approach it. And then in order to get that certification, you actually have to do, I think, 4 months of work with the group, in kind of a call-in situation like this, where you discuss things. And then you go before like a review board who decide whether you actually know this stuff well enough or not. so that you get the number 2 certification. So that's a little more involved. But the other one, you just show up and, if you sit through the class, he says, yeah, if you're not asleep, you're in. No test. It's all voluntary, which is part of what he's teaching. He's trying to teach by leading and modeling the way that he says you need to approach this with executives, which is to just say, look, this is all voluntary. Nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. You have to be invited in, or it's not going to go. And that was very powerful for me. I knew that to be the case, but to hear it put in the context that he put it was super, super useful.
Yeah, the boot camp I took in 2013, there was about 5 teams or people from teams from different companies, and only one of them was satisfied with how it was going. And he was a guy who he came in and he said, if I'm going to do this project, I need to do Scrum. And, he got it from very high levels that he was going to do Scrums. And so he was happy. But the others were all like, we never finish our sprints. One of them said, we've been using it for 3 years. We never finish our sprints because halfway through the week, we get a fire to put out from the executives.
Yeah, and that's the problem is, if you don't have the leadership buy-in, they're going to do stuff like that, and they're going to undercut everything that they're trying to get from doing Scrum and taking on the other Agile practices. And so, if you don't set the table for them to get on board with that early and realize that their role needs to be a leadership role and that they need to, step up to that you can't provide that as a coach and they can't force it. They just need to set the system up so that it encourages the right things rather than, being dictatorial and command and control like they always have been. And that's a big shift for people. And you're going to get resistance because, I got to this point in my career by doing that stuff and it worked, and now it's not working. So the reaction is do more. And you have to just circumvent that by talking and primarily by listening. His real thrust was mostly you need to listen and you need to not have an agenda. If you come in with an agenda like I'm going to, get Agile installed here, it's just going to put up walls and it's not going to work. And so it sounds kind of, hippy dippy, but it's true. I mean, it's just the way people are, and you can only go from where you are. You have your own, set of knowledge and your own worldview. And if you try and cram new stuff in, it's either going to fit what you already know and not really be very useful to you. And if it's too radically new, you're going to just go, So it needs to be in a way that you're actually constructing the new stuff, building on your own system from whatever that is. And, as a coach, you can only look at what the system is telling you and what people in that system are telling you and then say, all right, what's the conversation we need to have in order to stimulate that and allow them to come to their own conclusions that are useful conclusions.
So,
definitely, I would say that times that I've successfully done agile transformations or agile buy-in have totally been starting with the system as it is, and as things come up that are problems that system cannot solve, instead of training everything that Scrum is and all these agile principles, basically, hey, well, this is another way to deal with this. Can we do an experiment and see if it works? Yeah, and oftentimes at that point, if you can get that buy-in for that one thing, they go, wow, this worked great. And then the next time a problem comes up, hey, well, this is the way that we typically deal with that. Let's try that. And then in not too much time, it's like, okay, now I want to know everything about this. And then you can really get down to the training of it, right? And the form and the function.
And at that point, they trust you. And you can actually give that training with some level of confidence that it's going to be absorbed. because they're not resistant. They're actually listening to you, and they've experienced that the counterintuitive things actually work, which I think is one of the big hurdles for this, is that, some of it seems crazy. It's like, reducing WIP. How well, somebody's idle. We're not getting utilization, and how can that be? I need these people working all the time. How can I get more out of them sitting there? And it's just, there's always going to be slack time. So anyway, that's my rant for the day.
I've tried to chat with a fellow programmer who was doing the same language and everything in some companies, and the manager's head pokes out from his cube. It's like, why are you not coding? Why are you talking?
Yes. Why would we collaborate?
Well, that's a great example, right? Is pairing. Well, if two people are working on the exact same task at the exact same time, aren't we getting half as much done? No, not at all. Not at all. Now you're getting much more done because you're transferring knowledge. You're not taking time documenting a process and then having a class teaching people how the infrastructure works. So, right.
Yeah, and I've done the HEDIS certification, the federal and industry body certification for health insurance. And one of the things is redundancy. What redundancy do you have built in so that if somebody disappears, you still keep going?
Yeah, there's another aspect in programming that pairing seems to help with, is that it seems like in programming in particular, because it's such a complicated thing, that it does not take very long if you are playing the hero role of just spending all the extra hours drinking the Mountain Dew and typing out code by yourself and trying to get these deadlines done that you burn out. And you either can't keep the pace or you just stop doing it and find something else to do, right?
Yep.
And when that happens, all of that knowledge that you have gained over time that the company or the organization is relying on just goes right out the door and has not been passed to anyone else. And I've seen large companies basically end up shutting down or selling out in the end because their core people that built the technology just leave.
Yeah,
no one else knows how it works.
That's the
Right.
thing is it's almost worse if you stay in business, because your best people leave and you're there with the people who just, are lumps who say, tell me what to do. And have,
Right.
No creative juices that go into it to make a great product. You're, barely scraping by. And then, are you ripe for a competitor to come and, clean your clock? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and even if you had people who were motivated, looking at a full stack of infrastructure after the fact and trying to figure it out and maintain it and support
it's insane.
It's way more difficult than building it, right? Well, that was a fun conversation. Sorry, I did have one of the things in my notes for Lauren, because you had mentioned front accounting. I'd replied to your Trello card. I was curious, one, what Linux distro you've installed in VirtualBox, and two, I wanted to let you know that front accounting is installed on our GoDaddy server already. All of its prerequisites have been satisfied. Apparently, months and months and months ago when we started this, I got it up to that far. It's basically ready. It's ready for the configuration, and then we can start doing some testing with some real data.
Do I have access to that server?
I'll have to get you when we get ready to pair on it. I will have to get you the GoDaddy login credentials, because it's not something that I can share with other accounts. It's just you have to have the username and password. In order to show you where it is and how it's set up, we really need to pair on a Hangout or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
that was kind of my note. Was I'm ready. So I'm going ahead and parallel at home with setting up the server and hopefully make mistakes here first.
So, okay, yeah, and that's great. In order to, we lost Lauren. So, I don't know if he'll be on see the recording, but basically, in order for you to run front accounting, you need a LAMP server. So you have the Linux part. You'll need Apache, MySQL, and PHP, I believe. And once you get that far, when you go to install it, it will tell you what prerequisites are not set up yet, and then you can run through that. The one on GoDaddy right now, all prerequisites are done. It just needs configuration, and then we can start using it with real data as a test case.
Cool. I found that link, by the way. I'll put that in the chat. It has a video that's good. It auto starts at a loud volume, which startled the hell out of me. But other than that, it's good.
Okay, so if I exit the Hangout, will I see it in the conversation? Yeah, okay. I'll do that. Okay, cool.
It's in the group chat.
Yeah. The Hangout group chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you're on a tablet, you may not see that, Lauren. I don't know.
I could probably stick it in Slack.
That'd be fine. Or, use probably yes, because for posterity, right?
Okay.
Oh, I had one more note, Bruce.
Okay.
On the pictures, on the pictures of the mugs, the current status, I don't know if they've been done yet. It's in the verified block column because William sent an email to ask if it was done yet or not. So right now it's Schrodinger's pictures. We have no idea, right? It's either done or it's not, and we'll find out once we get a reply on that.
Got it. All right. Let me see if this is the correct one here.
I also want to add that I always enjoy our crosstalk, and really, if we did our retro at the end of crosstalk instead of stand-up, I think I would definitely bump the teen up to a 10. So, just want to mention that.
Yeah.
Let's see if this works here.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, I find it invigorating, and it's validating, and it's good to speak with people who are actually on your side.
Right.
As opposed to trying to bring the unworthy. Oh, that's very negative language. I know better than that.
The unwilling.
The unwilling, yes.
Chris, maybe you and I need to try and get a face-to-face, because I find it really helps to have had a real face-to-face than when you video chat or audio chat. You got a better idea. So maybe Chris, you and me need to dream up something that not too long. Hey, a Christmas gathering or New Year's or something like that.
So that's not really too personal. I'm at a situation now where I need to find employment before I can do much more travel, or not employment necessarily. I need to find income before I can do much more travel. But I am having a graduation party October 7th at my house here, and anyone on the WIKISPEED team is definitely invited. Of course, I think that some of us are in the same boat. It gets a little pricey to shoot halfway across the country, for an evening event, right? But no, I do agree, and I am working on that, and hopefully, I will say this: next time that I get up to the Linwood shop, I will schedule in at least an extra day to make it up your way. Typically, I've flown in the night before things needed to happen and flown out the second they're done. But I'll try to squeeze at least a day or two in to make it up to Gabriola Island. Because all the pictures I've seen of it look beautiful anyway, so I'd love to check it out.
Yeah. Sorry, you dropped out when you said what was happening at your place.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a graduation party. I recently got my degree from Texas A&M Commerce, And so October 7th, we're having a little, wine and cheese and beer and tapas party at my house.
Okay.
Again, and what I was saying is that anyone on the, that's a member of Team WIKISPEED is clearly invited to that. If y'all can make it, and if you're interested, hit me offline, and I'll get you the details of when it is, the address, and all that sort of thing. And if you need accommodation, so we can definitely work on that.
Thank you.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So any more crosstalk? It is almost 7:00. 1 minute from 7:00, or actually probably 2 or 3. 1 minute. 1 minute from 7:00.
I've got nothing left. I did put the URL in Slack, so you'll be able to see it.
Cool.
And,
I'll get it. Thank you.
good stuff.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.